Hi guys, I've been saying for ages, stop listening to politicians and start listening to experts. And where do the experts go for their daily news? Well, the likes of Bloomberg or the FT, the Financial Times. Gillian Tett, the chair of the editorial board at the FT, spoke to Channel 4 News about the current meltdown in the market that's not just giving Liz Truss and our Chancellor a major headache, but risks spreading to other markets around the world, potentially bringing the entire world closer to recession. Here Gillian had some uncharacteristically strong words for one politician, Jacob Rees-Mogg, who had been doing the rounds in the media on Wednesday morning, trying to suggest that this crisis had nothing to do with the mini-budget. Have a listen to this.
But the thing that has really terrified many investors has been this comment that essentially the pension funds have 3 days to get this sorted out or else. Because what that means is that all around the world right now at large financial institutions, you have the risk managers and traders braced thinking, okay, if we get to the end of this 3-day deadline and the British pension funds haven't managed to sort themselves out, essentially they're going to have to start selling more things. They'll be dumping stuff in fire sales. There can be some pretty funky, weird moves of the sort we've seen before in financial crises. And what we've learned in 2007 and 8, or what we learned in 1998, is that financial markets are prone to contagion. And what starts in one corner can end up infecting other corners because the investors who hold different assets in different markets are connected, and they can end up making fire sales that affect other asset prices. So there's a lot of concern. And frankly, going into the end of the week, this 3-day deadline, many people I'm speaking to are essentially saying the clock is ticking.
So you think the Bank of England's going to have to U-turn?
I'm very wary of predicting anything right now, because right now 3 hours is pretty hard to predict, never mind 3 days. I think that the Bank of England has been very, very clear that it says it will not U-turn. It says that, it knows perfectly well that if it does that, it will essentially be undermining a lot of the monetary policy stance it's trying to take. There are dissenting voices inside the Bank of England. There are dissenting voices, obviously, across the rest of the British government. But I think right now all bets are off.
OK. And just finally, just because there's been an argument between the government and various experts about who and what is really to blame for the turmoil, Jacob Rees-Mogg's been out this morning saying, well, it's mostly to do with interest rates. And everybody else, it seems to be saying, well, actually, it's quite a lot to do with the government's mini-budget. Can you just give us your verdict on that?
Well, to use non-technical term, that's pretty much bollocks. I think that for the most part, it really was the budget and the way it was delivered and the message inside it, which sparked the beginning of the crisis. The Bank of England certainly is to blame for not having prepared for these kind of dislocations. The British pension funds appear to have been somewhat asleep at the wheel in terms of their risk management systems. But at the end of the day, the spark that lit this fire was very much the budget announcement.
So Jacob Rees-Mogg is talking bollocks. And it won't be the first time. Wow, that was wonderful to hear. At least, somebody on the outside, she's in New York and she's saying, the British government are trying to pull the wool over people's eyes by saying it's not related to the mini-budget. Now, the mini-budget, as she said here, was the spark that lit this fire. And it's true that there have been a number of problems over the last number of years. The central bank, the Bank of England, had been trying to stop pumping money into the economy through quantitative easing. It had planned to end quantitative easing some time ago, and now it's seen itself being thrown into the deep end, trying to pull the country back out of this quagmire. You have the pension funds, which have not been looking after, as she said here, looking after their books, not understanding that they need to be protected. They need to protect themselves. And this situation now where you have the Bank of England basically at war with the government. The government know that they're on shaky ground. The Bank of England know that Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng may be kicked out at any moment. So they don't want to go down with that ship. They're standing their ground, it seems, and probably on Friday they're not going to bail the government out once again. They took a massive hit to their reputation recently, and I think they understand that, look, if we help the government out here, what will be the cost? if we help out these pension funds, what will be the cost? So I think we're at the end of Liz Truss's time as Prime Minister. Some people are talking about days. She met with the 1922 committee, and the party were not happy. Some MPs who had spoke to the media about her appearance there said it was similar to when Theresa May came for the last time to speak to members of the committee before she eventually resigned. These are very dark days, and as she said here, Gillian had said here, there's a real risk that this could spread to other markets. We've seen it before, how something small happening in a seemingly isolated situation can spread to the entire world. And Britain and the City of London are so important to international markets, to international trade, financial services, that if something starts there, it could easily spread to other parts of the world. And we could be facing not just a recession, but another great downturn like we saw in 2007, 2008. So it's good that there's somebody calling out Jacob Rees-Mogg for his bollocks, because very few journalists and people in the media actually do that. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.